National TV, and I'm Miriam. Here are the stories we have for you this hour. We begin with a pledge by the newly appointed Acting Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, who has promised to end impunity within the force. Disu stressed that corruption and misconduct would no longer be tolerated under his watch. He was speaking shortly after being decorated by the President. Bola Tinubu decorated him and charged him to transform the force to contain the challenges of banditry, terrorism, and widespread criminality. Tinubu personally pinned the new insignia on Disu's uniform, describing the appointment as coming at a defining moment of the nation's security. Disu promised that his leadership would prioritize professionalism and modernization, ensuring that officers are trained to meet global standards of policing while respecting human rights.
The President took his time to monitor officers working everywhere in the country, and it shows the President was throwing a challenge at me to go out there and do what I'm known for and ensure that I bring peace, recognition, and to the country.
What will be your top priority for Nigeria?
Like one of the first lectures I'm going to have with my men, I'm going to talk to them, let them know that the citizen of the country are the boss. It's very, very important for them to know that no police anywhere in the world can succeed without the cooperation of members of the public. I'm going to ensure that I take their welfare into consideration because people who are motivated.
And talking about the new police boss, who is taking over the affairs of the force at a time of heightened security concerns and renewed calls for institutional reform. As he settles into office, Nigerians across different sectors are outlining key expectations, ranging from improved internal security to enhanced accountability and public trust in the force. Our correspondent, 𝗁𝗲𝗶𝗴𝗂𝗊 spoke to citizens on what they believe should top the new police chief's agenda.
That
the new IG should be a light. It should not be a darkness. Nigeria is 100% under-policed.
All this problem of insecurity, I think federal government has to be held responsible.
Tunji Disu steps into office as the Inspector General of Police at a critical time for Nigeria's internal security, from kidnapping and banditry to slow responses to distress calls, raising concerns of police accountability. Nigerians say expectations are high. What exactly do citizens expect from the new police boss?
Nigeria is 100% under-policed. Count the number of IGs that we are here, that we have appointed and that have served Nigeria as IG in that position, you know, and what has they actually achieved? What have they actually contributed? You know, what will you stand today and say, okay, I'm making reference to one of the best IG Nigeria have ever produced? Look at the killings everywhere. What does that tell you? Even the ordinary ones we see on the streets, police, go to ordinary police station, can you be able to get justice or security? Zero. And this same person they appointed is coming from a rotten system of society. So you ask, what do you expect him? He's just going to enjoy enough AC, and at the end of the day, we hear that his tenure. Look at him, someone that have less than how many weeks to go on retirement. You are appointing him.
The security is what we need from him, and he should take action on that. I'm telling you right now, cultism is alarming in the society. So he should try and work on that very well.
The war of insecurity is always concentrated more in the north. Not knowing that we are exposing, you know, the southern Nigeria to this kind of unequal porosity. Because if you look at Kwara State right now, there are many communities that are under controls. We've been agitating, reiterating over time about state police, and it's the only mechanism that could help us fight terrorism to a standstill. When each state have their own police, I think they will have the competence to fight
insecurity to a full stop.
I respect this man so much, and I believe he's going to perform. He should not work for a politician for 2027 election. He should not start arresting people around to suit this government.
All this problem of insecurity, I think federal government has to be held responsible, to be sincere. I don't fear to speak up my mind to any reporters. Not the fault of the Nigerian police. They are performing their, and so I give them a lot, Nigerian police. I've never been in policing work before, but I do give them, I do respect them. Most of them will work diligently. Arrest some criminals, 1 or 2 criminals. You say order from above. When Makinde was head of state, I think one notorious armed robber was disturbing us. What is the name of this? Lawrence Anini. The Inspector General then, I couldn't remember the name again. Makinde summoned the ruling councils. Makinde was the last person to enter the meeting. Immediately entered the meeting and said, my friend, where is Anini? He pointed to the Inspector General. 2 weeks, less than a month, Anini was arrested. Because the federal government, the head of military junta at that time was ready to do the work. That's why this then Inspector General succeed.
The Nigerian populace will be hoping that there is more training and retraining of the police personnel, especially the ones.
Still talking about the police, President Bola Tinubu has called on the National Assembly to amend the 1999 Constitution to pave the way for the establishment of state police, describing the move as critical to tackling Nigeria's worsening security challenges. Speaking during an interfaith breaking of fast with senators at the presidential villa in Abuja, Tinubu said Nigeria is extremely challenged by terrorism, banditry and insurgency, stressing that decentralized policing is urgently needed to secure forests, protect communities, and restore public confidence in law enforcement. Tinubu commended the Senate for its responsiveness to national issues and urged lawmakers to fast-track the constitutional amendment process.
I think we are committed together to govern together. I'm very, very happy seeing all of you. It's a great honor. We thank God for the real privilege of breaking the bread together.
And still on security, Senator representing Kogi Central, 𝗡𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗀, has called for a thorough investigation into the reported attack on former Anambra State Governor and Labour Party presidential candidate 𝗡𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗶, as well as former National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, John Odige-Oyegun. 𝗡𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏 condemned the incident in a statement describing the assault as a dangerous affront to democracy and the rule of law. She stressed that the attacks on political leaders, regardless of party affiliation, threaten Nigeria's fragile unity and undermine citizens' confidence in the political process. And to party politics, the People's Democratic Party is facing renewed internal strife as factions loyal to Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike and Oyo State Governor 𝗁𝘁𝘁 Makinde intensify the rivalry ahead of the party's national convention scheduled for late March. The PDP National Caretaker Committee, led by Acting National Chairman Mohammed Abdurrahman and National Secretary Samuel Ayonwo, has insisted that the convention will hold on March 29 through 30, despite ongoing litigation and opposition from rival camps. The committee confirmed that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has already been notified of the planned exercise, stressing the preparations are in full swing. However, the Wike faction has continued to challenge the legitimacy of the caretaker leadership, citing court rulings and alleging irregularities in the party's recent activities. Still in politics, former presidential candidate and leader of the New Nigeria's People Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has met with the governor of Oyo State, 𝗁𝘁 Makinde, behind closed doors at the governor's office in Ibadan, the state capital. The meeting, which lasted several hours, was attended by top NNPP officials, including National Chairman Dr. Ajid Ahmed and National Publicity Secretary Najipo Johnson. Journalists were barred from the session and no official statement issued, leaving the details of the discussion undisclosed. The political observers, however, believe the engagement is linked to ongoing realignment ahead of the 2027 general elections, given Kwankwaso's recent political activities and Makinde's growing influence in national politics. And in business news, the Nigerian exchange saw a loss of 1.14 trillion naira in investor value following sell-offs in major stocks in Boa Foods, MTN, and many more. The offshore index fell by 0.91% to 194,484.61 points, while market capitalization dropped to 124.83 trillion naira, moderating year-to-date gains to 24.98%. Sector performance was mixed. Banking, oil and gas, and industry goods rose slightly, while insurance and consumer goods declined. Despite lower trading volumes, total transaction value rose sharply to 53.35 billion naira, led by Irido and J-Pol Gold. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has signed a major distribution deal with 12 petroleum marketing companies to supply 60 to 65 million liters of petrol daily across Nigeria. The president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, said the structured framework guarantees nationwide availability, with any surplus of 15 to 20 million liters earmarked for exports. This could translate to roughly 1.8 to 2 billion liters monthly, helping Nigeria conserve foreign exchange and strengthen trade balances. Selected marketers handling distribution include MRS Oil, NNPC Retail, Total Energies, Adova, Corn Oil, and others, ensuring efficient logistics and preventing hoarding. And in foreign news, at least 15 police officers and 4 civilians have been killed in a wave of militant attacks across northwest Pakistan over the past 48 hours, authorities have confirmed. The assault, which occurred in various parts of 𝗍𝗱𝗶𝗴𝗂𝗂 province, were described by officials as one of the deadliest recent surges of violence in the region. A senior police officer in Peshawar said 2 other officers were kidnapped during the attacks and remain missing. The militant group, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, has claimed responsibility for most of the incidents. The attacks come just days after Afghan and Pakistani forces exchanged fire along the porous frontier, raising fears of further instability in the border areas. Cuba's Ministry of the Interior has confirmed the 4 people were killed after security forces intercepted a U.S. registered speedboat that allegedly entered the Cuban territorial waters illegally. In a statement, the Interior Ministry said the vessel ignored repeated warnings from border guard troops before engaging security operatives during the encounter at sea. Reacting to the incident, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington is still verifying details surrounding the shooting. He noted that the U.S. government is seeking clarity on the circumstances that led to the fatalities. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance confirmed that the White House has been briefed and is monitoring the situation closely. Welcome to sports. Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen delivered a decisive blow as Galatasaray edged past Juventus to secure a spot in the UEFA Champions League round of 16 for the first time in 12 years. Despite losing 3-2 after extra time at the Allianz Stadium on Wednesday night, the Turkish champions advanced 7-5 on aggregate thanks to Osimhen's clinical finish in the 105th minute. The forward struck the ball through the legs of Juve goalkeeper 𝗍𝗂𝗃, silencing the home crowd and ending the Italian side's spirited fight back. Nigeria's blind women sambists are poised to make history as they prepare for their first ever appearance at the World Cup, marking a significant milestone for adaptive sports in the country. The athletes, who have been training intensively under the guidance of the Nigerian Sambo Federation, will compete on the global stage against seasoned opponents from across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. By stepping into the global spotlight, Nigeria's blind women sambists are not only breaking barriers, but also carrying the nation's hope for medals and representation in a discipline that blends martial arts, wrestling, and judo techniques. And in entertainment, veteran Nigerian filmmaker Tunji Kalani, popularly known as TK, has strongly criticized the growing trend of bloggers and social media users uploading unauthorized clips from his films online. In a Facebook post, Kalani described the practice as piracy and intellectual property abuse, stressing that it undermines the cultural value of his work. He expressed frustration over the circulation of short reels extracted from some of his most iconic films, including 𝗱𝗲𝗺𝗃, 𝗍𝗂𝗺𝗃𝗊𝗄, 𝗀𝗍𝗺 and Thunderbolt Magun. Kalani, whose career spans more than 4 decades, is renowned for producing films that celebrate Nigeria's cultural heritage, particularly Yoruba traditions. He warned that the unauthorized distribution of clips not only robs filmmakers of revenue, but also diminishes the integrity of their storytelling. And finally, the 𝗍𝗁𝗵𝗍𝗀 Festival Planning Committee has dismissed speculation that the forthcoming 39th edition of the annual celebration is being altered to serve as a platform for a fashion initiative. In a statement signed by the Ashikwa of Egbaland, Chief Rashid Raji, who chairs the committee, organizers insisted that the festival remains firmly rooted in its original purpose, honoring the legendary Egba warrior 𝗍𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗏𝗂, who led a revolt against the Oyo Empire in the 18th century. The reputation follows a viral video suggesting that the festival was being rebranded under the cultural fashion project known as Egbaliganza, championed by the area of Egbaland, Chief Lai Labode. The committee clarified that while cultural expressions are welcome, the 𝗍𝗂𝗵𝗍𝗀 Festival will not be subsumed under any other initiative. And that's where we'll leave it here for now. For continuous coverage and updates, please head to africanews24.ng and connect with us across all our social media platforms. I'm Mary Adam. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.